What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, sorry I don't have my face in the video, but you're gonna have to just take my voice, my smooth voice, for this video as I go over this trading from the first couple days in the platform when I was losing Top Step last week. I made this video today talking about how I signed up to the platform, but I actually started trading last week for the 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I just didn't have any big trades or anything. It was like basically break even every day, or I was up like 20 bucks a day, and it was just kind of testing the waters, learning the platform again, getting myself back in the idea of like how futures work, because futures is a lot different than trading the SPY directly. It's a lot more volatile in terms of like how much money you're losing or it's gaining per the movements in the SPY. So in that sense, you got to kind of be really careful with your risk loss management, and that kind of screwed me on the very first day. Like, I actually almost blew my account on the first day of and that's one of the things that, it's scary when you're like seeing how much money you could lose in some of these trades, right? Like, when you're trading futures, because it's like every small little move in the S&P is going to give you big swings in terms of the futures contracts, right? So it's definitely a more volatile business, and you want to be controlling your risk a lot more than just trying to be like, oh, if I lose this, because you'll get blown right through. You really need to just know your setups and your trades, and if they don't work out within the first seconds, you just take your loss and you go on, right? This is a very quick business. It's not something where you want to hold and hope. It is not something where you want to try to take risky trades. It's really about taking the least amount of risk and taking the littlest amount of gain, so that not just and when I say that, I mean like $100 to me is the littlest amount of gain, right? Like taking your 100 when you get it out quick and not holding for $300 or $400 move, right? You can always get back in with futures, especially with a funded account. You're not paying commissions, or the commissions come out of your money if you ever make any. So it's not necessarily something that you really need to look at as a worry in terms of like getting in and out quick when you're not right. But holding and hoping is how you get your account blown, which is what happened to me on my very first day. Now my account didn't get blown, which I was very happy about. And see, what ended up happening was, and this is one of those things where like, you might have however many contracts or whatever, right? So say you're in for 2 contracts, and you buy 2 contracts up here at 443.25, right? And then all of a sudden it drops down. You're going long. You're buying these to go long, and then all of a sudden it drops down to like 440. When you're down like $100, and you're like, crap. So then if you add and you start to scale into the position and average down, because like right now, say you'd say like, oh, I was buying here because I expected it to get a nice bounce off the VWAP. The VWAP was going to hold the support, so then you'd look for a higher move. Now I know that's probably not going to happen, because I know where the chart is in the bigger mind frame, and the fact that now you have downward pressure and you're probably going to break the VWAP and go to the downside. But I'm not trading anymore today, so I'm just doing this to explain to you kind of the thought process when you're in a trade like this, right? Which is why I said it's probably going to break to the downside, right? And here it goes, because of the selling pressure on other charts that I'm looking at, not just this chart. And that's why you have to look at bigger time frames. You need to look at the bigger understanding, so that you can trust sometimes a trade even when it's sketchy. But this is why, taking one or two contracts is the best way to go. Never take more than one contract unless you are like 100% sure in the trade, or at least in my case, you kind of realize that if you don't do that, you're probably going to blow your account, right? So what ended up happening with me is something like what ended up happening on this candle here, saying I'm buying at VWAP looking to go long, and then it jumps down, it shoots all the way down to here, right, to 440, to 4432. So what I was doing is I was adding a contract here, and then when it dropped down, I was adding here, and then I was adding here, right? I was buying, expecting it to at least come back up to the VWAP, right? And then I would be able to take my profit. And now, normally, if you were just trading regular, it wouldn't really matter. You wouldn't even notice. But because I'm trading in an account that's you have a max drawdown of $200, you can only lose $200 and your account's blown, and then you're shut out. You need to either pay to reset the account or wait to the end of the month, and then it gets reset based on the recurring charge on the monthly bill. But the thing about that is that you're really hoping. And so like once I kind of got in with 2 contracts and it didn't go in my favor, and next thing you know I'm down like $150 and I'd already lost $50 in the day. So I blew my account. So in that sense, my mind frame was, let's just hold average down, and then when it bounces back up even a little bit into the VWAP, I'll get out, break even, or at least a little bit of profit, and then I won't actually blow my account. But it's one of those things where it's like, if I sell now, my account's blown no matter what. So I might as well average down and hope for a bounce so then I can get out. But that's probably the stupidest, most risky thing you could do when you're doing this, and you'll probably blow your account more times than you won't. So I don't ever recommend people doing that. But as you can see here, if you would have done what I did, you would have been successful, right? So if you would have bought all the way down here at 443.33, you would have just got like a nice $200 move if you were in for like 2 or 3 contracts, right? And it's the same, one of the reasons why if you're trying to protect your account, you have to do that. But then what I ended up doing, instead of selling all the contracts at one place and just taking the profit, I ended up selling 2 contracts early and holding, hoping it would move lower and I would have more profit. And because I took those 2 contracts off, it ended up putting me almost into the red in terms of because they weren't up to the level that I had been buying at, even though my P&L was like 150 in the green, because it was only 150 in the green if I sold all contracts. Right? If I only sold a couple of the contracts, I only made back a little bit of the money I had lost, which is weird the way it calculates, but that's just the way it came up. So that's why when you actually look at the P&L chart, right? Like I said, for that day specifically, right? You'll see that I hit a 220 loss, right here, 220 loss at 11:10. I had a 220 loss, so that would mean that I blew my account, right? But at the end of the day, I was profitable. At the end of the day, I was up $20, right? At the end of the day, I had made money, $21. Total profit and loss at the end of the day was $21.28, and I actually made 62, but I paid $41 in commissions. So this was actually a profitable day. Every day last week was profitable for me. So I'll show you that on the 6th. On the 6th, it was the same thing. Total profit was $25. I actually made $11 because I only took 2 trades. And you can see my max drawdowns in those days were not too bad. And this is because I was starting to, be like, all right, I'm not taking more than 1 contract unless I absolutely have to. And today I did that as well. And I will show you that in a second, what I did today. And it was also another risky situation, right? But I still was able to do all right with it, right? And this was another winning day of $5 on Friday. Right, I was up $5 on Friday, so that's 3 winning days in a row. Even though, I think I had more winning trades on this day too. Yeah, so every day I had more winning trades than I had losing trades, and it was a pretty good first week all in all. But like I said, you got to be careful about that max drawdown, right? So if you're worried about it breaking down through that level and you're sitting there, you need to either get out and then plan another trade. If you have $20 wiggle room, say you lose 180, you can just get out and then look for a really good setup to give you back in the green and only take 1 contract and really try and hold for that, right? So you got to understand when you're taking risky trades, when you're buying at, like, say, when it crashes down into a support level and you're trying to buy at that support level hoping for a bounce back, if it doesn't hold, you need to get out. You need to take a $20, $30 loss so you're not taking a $200 loss, because it'll happen very quick when you're trading futures. And you can have to happen to you what almost happened to me on my very first day. Basically, my very first trade was blowing your account. Fortunately for me, like I said, I averaged down, was able to get out of it with actually a green trade. But at the same time, my max drawdown was more than they say I can lose, even though it didn't end up hurting my account. Which is why I think what it should be is... at the end of the day, whatever your PL&L is, right? So it's like at the end of the day, if you haven't lost 200, then you're good. But it says in the thing that if you lose, it says right here, it's like, do not let your account balance hit or go below that, 4,800. So if that's the case, then it already happened to me. But I messaged them and they're like, no, you haven't broken any rules. You're still good to go. So I'm not worried too much about it. But at the same time, just be cautious of that and understand the risk and be willing to get out and get back in if you see the setup doing what you thought it was going to do. Anyway, so green the first week. Today I was also green, so I'm going to go over that in another video and show you guys the setup and actually how I traded to get green for that. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.